My friends, we are moving along. We're going to our video number 3. How do we go from a graph to equation? How do I make an equation that will represent this line right there that you see? Well, very first thing we can do, all right, we'll label this over here X and this Y. We generally always do that. The first thing that we can do here is we can right away, if we want to make a table, and we can include these negative numbers if we want. I know we haven't seen a lot of negatives, okay, and we like to start at 0. But because the line has negative numbers, I might just go ahead and put 0 here and put 1, 2, 3, and I guess I'll put -1 and -2 here. And I just want to show you that we don't always have to start with 0. 0 is our starting point, but there is negative numbers. So I want to make a table, and from here we'll write an equation from it. So first things first, when x is 0, well, what's your y value? When x is 0, well, my y value right here is 4. So let's write 4. And when your x value is 1, well, what is your y value? Well, it looks like it's 6. Okay. And when it's 2, it looks like to be 8. And when it's 3, it looks like to be 10. Okay. So when it's 3, it looks like to be 10. All right, and now we can fill in some negatives if we want. So when it's -1, we get +2. And when it's -2, it's right here down here. Well, what's the y value here? Well, you're not moving up or down at all. It's 0. There. Okay. Notice how we're taking this line and we're going back to the idea of making a table, and then we can write an equation from it. And so if we do that, well, let's ask ourselves this question. So this is y, so we always do y is equal to, well, what is our starting value? In other words, our y-intercept. Well, our y-intercept, our starting value is always when x is 0, and it happens to be 4. So since we're starting with 4, let's write 4, okay? Okay. And what's happening to our table as we go down? Are we adding or subtracting? Well, if you look, we're adding, right? By how much? Well, by 2. What's 2 plus 2 is 4. What's 4 plus 2? 6. What's 6 plus 2? 8. What's 8 plus 2? 10. So it's just 4. Well, we're just going to add. And how much are we adding by? Well, 2 multiplied by x. And that would be my equation. Y is equal to 4 plus 2x. Okay, watch what happens. Take 2 and let's plug it into here. So y is equal to 4 times 2 times 2. Put in the 2 for x. What's 2 times 2? Well, that's 4. So we get 4 plus 4, which is 8. And we get exactly what we get here on the table. And when we go to 2, the y value is in fact 8. And it works even if you plug these negative numbers in. Plug in -2 in for x, and let's see if we get 0. So y is equal to 4 plus 2 times -2. If you use your calculator, 2 times -2 is -4. So what's 4 minus 4? Well, we get 0. And that's exactly what we got there. So notice how we just made a quick table, and then it helped us to get this equation here, 4 plus 2x. Now, here's a cool observation. Notice on the right, the y values, right? Notice how we're adding by 2 every time. On the left, what are we always adding by? Well, we're just always adding by 1, right? 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. What's 2 plus 1 is 3. Well, look over here on the graph, okay? The y goes up and down, and the x is horizontal. So horizontally, how much are we going by? Well, +1. So we're going to go over 1. We're going to go over 1 just like you saw there. We're going to go over 1. Let me change the color. We're going to go over 1. And then on the y, how much are we changing by? Well, we're always adding by 2. So over 1, up 2. Over 1, up 2. Over 1, up 2. Again, this right here, this 2, is our constant rate of change. It's our slope or our average rate of change. And you might ask yourself, well, I understand where the 2 is from because the 2 means you're going up. But what about this 1? Where do you see this +1 in the equation? Well, it turns out there's just an invisible 1 underneath the 2. So you can think of 2 as 2 over 1, right? What's 2 divided by 1? It's 2. But the reason why we like this is because, well, this really means you're going to go up 2 over 1, or you're going to go over 1 up 2. But let's go ahead and see if we can make a connection here on this table here. Again, what is the first thing we can do if I want to write an equation for this? I can always, well, you guys got it. I can make a quick table, okay? And I'll put 0 somewhere here. I do see negative numbers. So maybe 0, -1, -2. I don't really see it, so I'm not gonna write it. And then I guess I'll do 1 and 2. How about 1 and 2? 3, because 3, I'm having a hard time to visualize that there. Okay, so when x is 0, our starting value, what is my y value? Well, my y value is -2. So let's write -2. When it's -1, what is your y value? Well, it looks to be -7. When it's 1, what is your y value? Well, it's 3. So let's write 3. And when it's 2, what is your y value? Well, it looks to be 8. Okay, and we filled that out there. So let's see just a couple ways, okay? We can try to figure out how to create an equation with the table and then just with the graph, okay? So here we go. Well, first things first, when you want to write an equation, what is your starting value? Well, what is your y-intercept when it hits this y-axis here? Yx. Our y-intercept is -2, so we're starting with -2. And what happens, what are we always adding by on this table? All right, well, I might look at this here, right? Because this might be a little easier to work with positive numbers. 3 plus what gives me 8? Well, I could always do 8 minus 3, and that's 5. So 3 plus 5 gives me 8. Well, so then by default, I know -2 plus 5 has to be what? Well, -2 plus 5, oh, that's 3. So you see how I started with the positives and then I figured it out over here. -7 plus 5 is, in fact, -2. I could have just done this. Well, from -2, how many times do I need to keep going to get to 3? Well, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, or you could do 3 minus -2. And these turns into positive. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay. Well, we're always adding by 5. So -2 plus 5x. Okay. And here's my equation. Or I could write this as y is equal to 5x minus 2. It really doesn't matter. It's just up to you to decide what you think makes sense to you. Well, how can we do this with the equation here? Well, what's my starting value? Well, my starting value is the y-intercept, so that's -2, okay? Now, if I want to find my constant rate of change, well, how much do I go up by on this table? Well, I go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I go up 5. That's the y-axis. So since the y-axis is vertical, we go up 5. And then how much do we go over by? Well, we go over by 1, so 5 over 1. So there it is. That's my average rate of change, and I can do that. I go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, and it always works. So this is just plus 5 over 1 times x. Okay, or y is equal to -2 plus 5x. It really does not matter. It's up to you to decide. Okay. All right, with that being said, we'll go through and see if we can use that to help us write in equations without making a table. But again, you can always make a table if you're never sure. So first things first, what is my starting value? Well, my starting value is +3. It's your y-intercept, so 3. Okay, and what's happening here? Well, we're going up. Let's find a point. Well, I'm trying to find a point that perfectly hits the grid. None of these here work right there. So I don't know if you notice it, but none of these points hit it perfectly except right there. So we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go up 5. This is the vertical, the y. And how much do we go over? Well, we're going over 2. 1, 2. So we go over 2. So 5 over 2. So 3 plus 5 over 2 times x. And see if that works out here. Well, I'm going to go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 2. And there it is. We're getting this exact rate here. And again, this is my constant rate of change. Rate of change. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so when x is 0, okay, how much are we starting with? Well, we're starting with 3. And then we're going to, okay, let's give you a real world scenario. This means we're going to add 5 quarters. We're adding 5 quarters every 2 days. Why every 2 days? Well, because of the 2 underneath. So instead of 1 here, well, it's going to be 2. Right, because we're going to add every 2 days. Well, how much quarters? 5. Well, what's 3 plus 5? 5, 6, 7, 8. So when x is 2, it should be 8. And you can see on the graph, here it is. When x is 2, it should be 8. What should be the next x value? Well, it's every 2 days, so it should be 4. Right? Here it is, plus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And now we add 5 quarters. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So when x is 4, it should be 13, which is in fact right here. You could see it. 13 is right there. Okay, that's just to show you how you can create equations like this. And we'll do this last one very, very quick. All right, y is equal to, what's my starting value? My starting value is positive 2. So 2. And let's do plus. Okay, how much on our y? How much are we adding by on the y? Well, I'm trying to find a point on here that hits perfectly the grid. Oh, right there. Okay, so I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 still over 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 over 4. So it's going to be 2 plus 5 over 4 x. If you wanted to make a table for this, well, just like we did before, when x is 0, we're starting off with 2. Okay, the number on the bottom means how much you're changing by on the x, right? That's what we went over. That's the x over here. It's the horizontal. So that means this should be 4 because we're going to be going by 4s, and then we add 5. That's what the number on the top here means. 2 plus 5 is 7. And there it is. And then 8 over here, add 5 again, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you go to 8, 12, well, look, it's already there. 8, 12, and here it is. All right. Hopefully that helps, my friends. You can go ahead and try these next two. I think I'll stop here. But I do want you to notice that what is different with this here is because when you get your starting value, y is equal to 2, and you get your next point on here, I'm trying to find a good spot right there. Notice how you're having to go down to get to those 2 points. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you're going down 3. So we're going to do minus 3. And then you're going over to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the only difference. So this will be minus 3 over 4x. Okay, so that's just to show you a quick problem here. The difference with this is since we're going down, that means decreasing, since we're subtracting when we get to those 2 points, versus over here how we had to go up, which is why it was positive. So kind of a big difference there. But there you go. Go ahead and try this one out. Notice you're going down when you click these 2 points, and so you should get a decreasing constant rate of change. All right, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that helps you be able to write an